Hi, I'm Melinda Van Fleet, and welcome to the Confident Conversations podcast. I'm a confidence and peak performance coach, best-selling author, and speaker who helps businesswomen develop confidence to believe in themselves, take action, and get results. This podcast shares authentic and transparent, thought-provoking stories, tips, and tools from my experiences, as well as incredible guests, so you can continue to build your confidence and live your best life. Thank you for joining me. Let's get started on this confidence journey. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's Confident Conversations podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. Today's episode is part 2 of a pricing conversation. Having the right mindset around your pricing, having a feel-good energy around your pricing is super important. It's actually crucial in my experience and opinion. And I talk a lot about that on podcast 102. So if you haven't listened to the part 1, I highly recommend going back and listening to that podcast. But I wanted to separate this mindset shift and thought process into a separate podcast because it's a different context in regards to pricing. And in my opinion, a paradigm of where we are shifting. And it's something I feel really strongly about. And I am making it part of my world. My husband makes it part of his world. And I have seen it pop up with a few other coaches here and there. And then it's funny because when I don't see it happen, I tend to notice it. And that is equating time and money in the same thought process. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is thinking that your course, if I use the course example, has to be a certain amount of time in order to charge a certain price. I think that's where the majority of people have been, associating time with money. And I know that I grew up hearing the phrase, not only from my parents, but just out there in society, time equals money. And I actually had a coach, I think it was a couple years ago, who tried to reverse that whole thought process and say, no, that's not true. But the context that was provided at the time for me didn't really make sense. Like the examples weren't really good. And now that I am in this space and see things myself, I have my own shift on that. And that is my time is really, really important. So the money comes back to me easily as energy because money is energy. So it's a tool. It just comes back. But time, once time's gone, it's gone. And I have listened to so many courses where I'm like, oh my gosh, I listened for an hour. And that's all I got was that one nugget. The rest was just a lot of stories that I really maybe didn't need in order to get the tip. And it maybe could have been shortened into a half an hour versus an hour. But I feel that that's what people do. They feel like, oh, I'm doing this course or this program, so I want to charge this in order to make money. So it needs to be this amount of time. I've even been on webinar calls where they're trying to sell their program that is a client attraction program, let's put it like that. There's many different names and marketing spins on that out there that I've seen, where they give you this amount of money that you wish to earn for a month. Let's say you wish to earn $10,000 a month. That's kind of a general number out there for coaches, especially starting. And then they back it up into how many clients you should have to do that. So then this is how you set your price. That whole piece of it may work for some people, but it doesn't necessarily work for everyone, because if you're not energetically aligned with that amount of money, as per, again, podcast episode 102, but then you're associating time with that because then you need to fill up your coaching time and it's so many hours a week, and that's how you feel good about working, and it kind of puts you in this whole headspace of confusion. because it's like, okay, where do I feel good? And then where do I feel good about how much time it takes me to actually teach something? And am I padding the rest of that time, whether it's a coaching call or a course, recorded or live, it doesn't matter, with just extra fluff in order to make it seem like someone got value for their money? I don't look at it that way at all. I would rather spend $2,000 on something that teaches me something that truly transforms my life, that helps me shift, or that validates. I think validation is just as important. I talk about validation a lot. In half an hour versus having me sit on a Facebook Live for an hour and a half. And I'm like, okay, what did I really get out of that? One little nugget, or maybe something I can share with my husband. And she said that within 5 minutes. And the rest was a lot of stuff I could read in Success Magazine, or I've heard from other people. And she just filled the time. I truly believe this paradigm is going to shift away from time. Why? Because we're all so busy and there's so much content out there. I was listening to a podcast yesterday. It was fascinating and something my husband and I always talk about. So it was great to hear it come from a big influencer. And he was saying how, the world is just so different now. So, 10, 15 years ago, you could be easily famous and get lots of press and publicity and people knew your name. Now, between YouTube, all the other platforms, TikTok, then you still have television, then you still have radio, then the podcasts, all the things, it's so much harder to get your name out there, right? So in conjunction, there's so much content. So 20 minutes to someone is really, really valuable. 3 minutes to someone is super valuable. That's why I am doing my Tuesday transformational tips in 3 minutes or less. Because heck, I want to learn something fast. I want to hear a tidbit of a story and some tips and a little bit of a positive kick in the butt and go on with my day. Transformational Tip Tuesday in 3 minutes or less. That's my YouTube video. When I sit and watch someone's YouTube video that's 6 minutes and only 2 minutes are the tip, the rest of the video, the 4 minutes, are like someone talking about the trees and this and a whole big description about what they do. Like, I'm good. Like, I don't need that. Just give me the juice and let me on my way. I don't care what the YouTube algorithm says, what they want, what YouTube wants. YouTube is going to end up changing for what the consumer wants, people. So don't be so wrapped up in what some expert coach says about YouTube, because you know what? It could change. So maybe balance it, maybe test it, but keep aware of what's going to happen over time. Over time, content will keep getting shorter and shorter and shorter because we're all so busy, and that's what's going on with our brains. We want to consume more in less time. Someone else's YouTube video that I stumbled upon last spring when I was writing life and love lessons, and I was looking for just a piece of just like some facts, really, is what I was looking for. So I put it into the search, and this woman's YouTube videos popped up. Her videos are very good. I'm not saying anything negative about her videos, but they're 20 minutes long. Each one of them is 20 minutes. It's like she times them. And really, you could skip the first 15 minutes. Literally, you could skip it and just listen to the last 5 minutes. And you will not have missed a beat. You will have gotten her action tips. You will still understand some context of what she's talking about. Maybe there's like a couple facts or something that was in the 15 minutes that you skipped. But for the most part, we are all really smart people and we can figure it out. I truly believe that. So for her to do these 20-minute videos, she's obviously just doing it for the algorithm, which is fine, obviously, if that's what you're saying as a YouTube expert. But at the end of the day, what's it going to look like in 6 months? What's the bigger vision? Where is the direction? Where are we headed? I would rather start to recognize a forward thought and get ahead of the curve and let the curve catch up to me than be behind and chasing. So just think about that when you're creating your content. Create the content that's necessary to create, that really solves the problem, that really helps someone out there. And don't get wrapped up in the amount of time. Let the time go. Just do your best and say what you need to say, and then roll on. That's how I've always done these podcasts. And I have to say, I get so much feedback about that. Like, oh my gosh, your podcasts aren't super long. You're quick, you're to the point, you're authentic, you just get it out there, you move on. Yes, that's how I've always done it. So maybe I've gone against the grain on what someone's algorithm is saying and an expert says. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. It doesn't feel good for me to be a follower. It just doesn't. I've never been that way. That's probably why I've always gotten in trouble, to be really honest. And it just is. It just is. It's how my human design is now that I understand human design. And human design is something I infuse in my coaching practice because I truly love it and believe in it. But now that I understand my design and that I go against the grain and I might be ahead of the curve, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. So I'm keeping my stuff tight. I love my Tuesday transformational tips. As a content creator, I have to tell you, it does not take me long to do that. It comes out really fast. And that's something I teach in the Content Creation Success Strategies, which is now will relaunch in January. So if you're interested in learning how to create content quickly that feels good, that serves your audience and serves a purpose, definitely connect with me and get on the wait list, which the easiest way is to join my email list and just go to either one of my websites and sign up for a freebie, and you'll be on the email list and be in touch with me for the future. So I hope this podcast helped you. If you are struggling with, oh my gosh, how do I price my course? Does it need to be an hour and a half modules? Let that go. Just deliver value in the best way that feels good for you and is going to serve your audience. That's the way to handle it. Deliver the value in the best way that feels good to you that's going to serve your audience. And they will be so appreciative if you've cut out a lot of fluff, and again, stuff you can easily read in Success Magazine, that just get to the juice. Get to the juice of what you have discovered, what you have learned, and what can help your client in the best way. So thank you for listening. I hope this podcast helps build your confidence, and have a great week. Bye.